So you take your ordinary pool tester here. We'll go test it out again. We'll see how that's, see if we're starting to make chlorine inside of our tank, and we should be. I see very light yellow color, but nothing appreciable yet. So
okay.
we'll test this out again here in just a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to add just a little bit more salt to this other side. That will help out our process just a little. Just a pinch of salt there.
All right, Bill, now that we're all set up and the process is going,
Yes.
why don't you go over to the setup
Okay.
and speak about every aspect of the process as it leaves the tank,
Yes.
describe each part as it goes through and finishes up, and then finish up with the testing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to just take a moment and just tell you how this water purifier system works. Inside the water tank, we have a submersible pump that is actually pushing water through the hose here. It's going through a heat sink, which is much like a radiator, which dissipates the heat. They'll take the heat that's generated by the electrolysis process away and actually put it back into the water tank. But as the water goes through this pipe, then it goes through what's called a venturi. And this venturi is where we combine the water and the chlorine so that we actually chlorinate the water in a very thorough manner. The water goes from there back into the tank through this return hose on this side. Now it's really interesting that we could just take a very simple salt molecule and we will break it apart. And so that's what this hub right here does. It will actually, it breaks apart the salt molecule. There's a gas permeable membrane that is in the middle of this where the sodium actually can pass through, much like a Gore-Tex material, where it allows very small molecules to go through, but the bigger chlorine molecule stays behind in this container where it's captured and then injected into the venturi and into the water line.
So in the tube on the right, you're actually producing a chlorine gas, and that chlorine gas is being siphoned off by process of that venturi tube.
Correct.
Into the water that is unpurified,
Yes.
and is flowing back into the tank chlorinated.
It's flowing back into the tank chlorinated. Now at this point what we need to do is we need to actually test occasionally and see how our water is actually doing in this case. So we take an ordinary pool tester, and I'm going to take this and we're going to pour one drop of water. Wow, there we go. We're actually making lots of chlorine here. And in fact, our tank is now so chlorinated that we can actually shut off the process. It has actually turned to an orange color, which is past the normal 5 parts per million. It's actually gone to about 7 to 10 parts per million already.
So we need to stop the process, is what you're saying.
We do, yes.
Okay.
I'll do that right now here. And the way we do that is very simple. We will just take off the electrical leads so that we're no longer doing the electrolysis process.
Okay. Pam, do me a favor and go over there and open that big cap. Oh, it's open already. Go ahead and just, don't stick your nose right into it, but put your nose over and take your hand and wave the air towards you and tell me what you smell.
Be careful.
Chlorine, just like a pool.
Just smells like a swimming pool, doesn't it?
It's pretty strong, isn't
It's
it?
very strong.
Very
Yeah.
strong. Because
And what we're going to do at this point now is we're going to let that chlorine make contact with the water for at least 1 hour so that it will kill all the bacteria in that 1 hour's time frame. After that 1 hour, we probably will still have some residual chlorine, and we'll let that burn off before the people will actually drink the water. And that typically is about a 6-hour process where we need to let the chlorine gas burn off, and then the water's drinkable at that point.
excellent.
We have a 2-tank process that we typically do. We have this one tank, which is called the user tank, or I'm sorry, which is called the, we have a 2-tank process. This one is the chlorination tank, and then we have a hose down here where we could dump all the chlorinated water into a user tank down below by gravity after all the chlorine is burned off, and that way people can be drinking from that tank while we're making another batch of water.
Excellent. Bill, talk to the the byproducts that are in both those tubes and what those uses can be used for when you're done.
Yes, that's very interesting what we can use here. First of all, we are making raw chlorine here, which is bleach. And the neat byproduct here is that this could be used for cleaning purposes or for medical purposes. It's wonderful for a kitchen or whatever. In these third world countries, many times they don't have bleach, and so we're actually manufacturing bleach here just in this tube. The second side of this, we're making sodium hydroxide here. And this is the byproduct in here. And in fact, both of these are poisonous. Just we have to be careful with that around children. But the sodium hydroxide could be used for making lye soap, or it could be actually dumped into a pit latrine to kill the flies and things like that that actually grow in there. So we have some wonderful uses with the byproducts from our materials here. So nothing goes to waste. One of the other neat things, if I could just take a moment here too, because we could be, as you can see here, we are completely set up in a very remote location. We don't have any electricity here. We're solely operating on battery power. And so what we've got to keep our battery going is a solar panel that we can use to recharge our battery. So we could be in the most remote part of Africa, where I've been, say, in Burkina Faso. Most people don't even know what the name of that country, let alone where it is. But I could be in near the Sahara Desert, and we can actually keep our battery charged and actually continually use this product here in a very sustainable way. The only product that we really need to purchase in country is salt. And then the other part is just making sure that we keep our battery charged.
And salt is pretty much available in any country that you've ever been in.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very cheap.
And
it's at any market, and so we can find salt anywhere that we go.
Speaking of cost, Bill, for those who want to support this ministry,
Yes.
describe some of the cost of the various essential parts of this water purification system.
That'd be great. This is as we look at this, it may sound expensive, but when it's all said and done, it's going to be less than $1 a person for an entire year's time frame, where they would have water for over a year for only $1. The water purifier itself is $1,200. Then we go and we're going to need to purchase a battery and a tank. And those could vary anywhere from $100. The tank could vary anywhere from $100 up to $1,000, and we need 2 tanks. So it could be up to a couple of $1,000 just for the tanks alone. In addition to that, then we're going to need to buy some type of a pump. And we have 3 different pumps that we could use. One is a hand pump. One is an electrical pump, which let me pull that out of my hat here. This is an electrical pump, or we have the submersible pump, which is inside. And it depends on whether we have electricity or not. It also depends on if we need a backup system or not, as to what types of pumps that we have. Typically, these pumps run a couple of $100 a piece. We also have filters that if the water is bad, we can filtrate the water up front. We've got the solar panels that are needed, which is another part of this, and those are $400 a piece.
For the 30 watt?
For the 30 watt solar panel, yes. And then we've also got, because quite often in the third world countries, our water purifier has the possibility of getting legs and walking away for no apparent reason, but we have what's called a quick disconnect system, where we can actually very quickly remove the system and store it away and safely lock it away so no one will steal it. The nice part about that, well, it's a $400 quick disconnect package that we have to purchase to get that up and going. So in essence, the total cost is anywhere from about $3,500 to about $5,000, depending on the country that we go to.